The security guard placed one hand on Daniel Whitaker's shoulder. Not aggressively, not rudely, almost apologetically, but the effect was the same. Every conversation inside the jewelry showroom stopped. A woman trying on a diamond bracelet looked up. A young salesman froze beside a display case. Two wealthy clients near the private consultation lounge turned to watch. And Daniel Whitaker, the man whose hospitality company employed more than 12,000 people across America, stood in the middle of the most exclusive jewelry store in Chicago, wearing a security guard's jacket that was 2 sizes too small. "Sir," the guard said quietly, "if you can't verify your identity, I'll have to ask you to leave." Daniel looked at him, then slowly looked across the room. His eyes stopped on Claire, his girlfriend, the woman he had intended to propose to less than an hour earlier. She stood near a sapphire display case. Beautiful, elegant, perfectly dressed, and completely silent. She wasn't looking at the security guard. She wasn't looking at the sales manager. She wasn't even looking at Daniel. She was looking at the floor, embarrassed. As if the most uncomfortable thing happening in the room wasn't that her boyfriend was being accused of pretending to be someone he wasn't. It was that other people might associate her with him. The realization hurt more than Daniel expected, much more. Then came the sentence that changed everything. Claire finally looked up. "Daniel." Her voice was soft, careful, dangerous. Maybe too dangerous. "Maybe we should just go." Not "he's telling the truth." Not "you're making a mistake." Not "I know him." Just "maybe we should go." The security guard shifted awkwardly. The manager folded his arms. The customers kept watching, and Daniel felt something inside him become very quiet. Not angry, not yet. Something worse. Disappointed. Because disappointment is what remains when hope finally gets tired. The strange thing was that the worst part wasn't being humiliated. Daniel had been underestimated before, many times. The worst part was realizing who stood beside him when it happened, and who didn't. 3 hours earlier, everything had looked very different. The morning began with snow. Not a storm, just enough to cover the sidewalks in white and make downtown Chicago look cleaner than it really was. Daniel stood outside his penthouse apartment overlooking Lake Michigan, 46 stories above the city, coffee in one hand, phone in the other, watching the sunrise reflect across frozen rooftops. Most people thought wealth felt exciting. Daniel knew better. After a certain point, money mostly became responsibility. Problems simply arrived wearing more expensive clothes. His phone buzzed. The caller ID displayed. Mom Daniel smiled immediately. He answered. "Morning. You're late. I'm standing in my kitchen." "Exactly." Daniel laughed. His mother was 73 and somehow still capable of making him feel like a teenager. "You nervous?" she asked. Daniel looked toward the small velvet ring box resting on the counter. Dark blue, simple. Inside sat a sapphire ring worth more than his first restaurant and somehow less important. Maybe. I don't know. "That's not what I asked." "No? No." His mother paused, then said quietly, "Are you sure?" The question lingered. Daniel didn't answer immediately, because lately he'd been asking himself the same thing. Not every day, but often enough. Claire Montgomery was beautiful, smart, ambitious, confident. The type of woman who entered a room and instantly became its center. People admired her. Investors remembered her. Photographers loved her. But over the past few months, Daniel had started noticing small things, tiny things, the kind people usually ignore. How she treated waiters, how she spoke about people who earned less money, how her mood changed depending on who was watching. Nothing dramatic, nothing obvious. Just enough to leave questions, and unanswered questions tend to grow. "I'm thinking," Daniel finally admitted. His mother sighed, not disappointed. "Just understanding, then don't rush." Daniel looked at the ring box again. "Maybe today helps me decide." "Maybe?" A pause. "Then, or maybe today helps her decide." The call ended shortly afterward. Daniel stood alone for another minute, thinking, then grabbed his coat and left. At 11:30, he met Claire outside the Drake Hotel. She arrived 6 minutes late. Not because she had been delayed, because she liked arriving after other people. Claire stepped from a black SUV wearing a camel-colored wool coat and sunglasses that probably cost more than Daniel's first monthly rent payment 25 years ago. She kissed his cheek, not his lips. His cheek. Daniel noticed. Claire noticed him noticing. Neither mentioned it. "You look distracted," she said. "I had coffee." "That isn't an answer. It wasn't supposed to be." Claire smiled. A beautiful smile. Practiced. Perfect. Then she hooked her arm through his. "Where are we going?" "Shopping." Her eyes brightened immediately. "Interesting. Very interesting." Not because she liked shopping. Everyone likes shopping. Because of how quickly her mood changed. As though a switch had been flipped, they walked south through downtown, past luxury boutiques, past holiday displays still lingering after the season, past tourists photographing buildings older than their grandparents. The city felt alive, bright, busy, normal, which is probably why nobody noticed Maya. At first, she stood near a crosswalk holding a worn suitcase, young, nervous, cold, trying desperately not to cry. Daniel noticed because his father taught him something decades ago. Most people look where everyone else is looking. Useful people look where nobody is. Interesting. Very interesting. The tearing sound came suddenly. Fabric, sharp, embarrassing. Maya froze, her face lost all color. Several pedestrians turned. One teenager laughed. A woman pretended not to notice. A businessman smirked openly. And within seconds, Maya was living through one of those moments people remember for years afterward. The moment when they become painfully visible. Daniel stopped walking. Claire did not. At least not immediately. 3 steps later, she realized he wasn't beside her. She turned. Saw Maya. Saw the torn dress. Saw Daniel removing his coat. And instantly understood what he intended to do. Her reaction wasn't compassion. It was annoyance. Daniel. He ignored her. Maya stared, confused, mortified, trying not to fall apart. Daniel held out the coat. Nothing dramatic, nothing heroic. Just kindness. Simple, direct, unexpected. You can borrow this. Maya blinked. I can't. You can. I don't even know you. Daniel smiled slightly. That's temporary. For the first time, she almost laughed. Almost. Then tears appeared instead. The dangerous kind. The ones people fight hardest. She accepted the coat, wrapped it around herself, and looked as though somebody had just handed her dignity back. Interesting. Very interesting. Because sometimes that's exactly what kindness does. Claire crossed her arms, clearly irritated. Not at Maya, at Daniel. At the inconvenience, at the attention. At something she couldn't quite explain. Then another person entered the story. Marcus Reed, age 62, security guard, former Marine, grandfather of 4, standing near the entrance of an upscale department store, watching everything. He saw Daniel give away the coat, saw the young woman nearly cry, saw the wind cutting through Daniel's dress shirt, and made a decision. Without hesitation, he removed his own security jacket, walked over and handed it to Daniel. You need this more than I do. Daniel laughed, surprised. You sure? Marcus shrugged. Cold doesn't care how mutty somebody has. Interesting. Very interesting. Daniel accepted. The jacket fit terribly. Short sleeves, tight shoulders. Department store logo stitched above the chest. Exactly the type of jacket nobody notices, which made what happened later possible. Maya thanked them repeatedly, almost too much. Then hurried away toward the interview Daniel suggested. The Langford Hotel. One of his hotels. Though Maya didn't know that, neither did Marcus, neither did Claire. For a few minutes, everything seemed finished. Then Daniel reached into his pocket and froze. Interesting, very interesting. No phone, no wallet, no identification, nothing. Still inside the coat Maya had borrowed. Claire closed her eyes, slowly, painfully. Please tell me you didn't. Daniel checked again, then laughed softly. I did. Claire stared. Your phone, yes. Your wallet, yes. Your credit cards. Probably. Daniel. He smiled. She's coming back. How do you know? Good question. He didn't. Not really. But some instincts develop over time. And Daniel trusted his. Unfortunately, trust was about to become the central problem of the day. Because 20 minutes later, his assistant would call repeatedly. Because 30 minutes later, suspicious banking alerts would begin appearing. Because 45 minutes later, someone would access information inside Daniel's phone. And because 1 hour later, standing inside the most expensive jewelry store in Chicago, the woman he planned to marry would look at him and wonder whether she truly believed him anymore. And that was only the beginning. The first banking alert arrived 12 minutes later. Daniel didn't see it, because the phone receiving it wasn't in his hand. It was somewhere across Chicago, inside the pocket of the coat he had given away. The irony would have been funny under different circumstances. Instead, it became the first crack in a much larger problem. Claire noticed something was wrong immediately. Not because she understood Daniel, because she understood money. His expression changed, slightly. A tiny shift. Most people would have missed it. Claire didn't. What happened? Daniel looked up from the sidewalk. My assistant keeps calling. On what? My phone. Claire stopped walking. The answer took a second, then landed. Oh, interesting. Very interesting. For the first time that afternoon, she looked genuinely concerned. Not embarrassed. Concerned. Maybe because now there was actual risk involved, not social risk, financial risk. The kind people take seriously. You should cancel your cards. I will. How? Daniel smiled. By borrowing yours. She didn't smile back. Instead, she crossed her arms, thinking, calculating, worried, interesting, very interesting. Then she asked the question she had been avoiding. What if she doesn't come back? Daniel looked toward traffic moving through Michigan Avenue. What if she does? Claire exhaled sharply. I knew you'd say that because it's possible. It's naive. Daniel looked at her. No, a pause. It's hopeful. Claire shook her head. Those two words had meant the same thing once. Not anymore. They resumed walking. The jewelry appointment sat 40 minutes away. More than enough time for trouble to grow. And trouble was already working. Across the city, Maya Reynolds sat inside a small coffee shop near River North. The interview had gone better than she expected. Much better. She still couldn't believe it. The manager at the Langford Hotel had treated her kindly, offered coffee, asked thoughtful questions, actually listened. Those things shouldn't have felt unusual, yet they did. The borrowed coat rested across her lap. Heavy, warm, expensive, definitely expensive. Maya carefully searched the pockets, not because she was curious, because she wanted to make sure nothing had been left inside before returning it. Then she found the phone and the wallet. Her stomach dropped instantly. Interesting, very interesting. Most people assume temptation announces itself loudly. Usually it doesn't. Usually it arrives quietly, inside a wallet, inside an unlocked opportunity, inside a moment nobody would witness. Maya opened neither. Not the phone, not the wallet. Instead, she immediately stood, grabbed the coat, and headed for the door. Then the phone rang. A name appeared. Saracutive assistant. Interesting. Very interesting. Maya hesitated. The call continued, then continued, then continued. Eventually, she answered. Hello? Silence. Then relief exploded through the speaker. Oh, thank God. Maya pulled the phone slightly away. The voice continued. Mr. Whitaker, where are? I'm not Daniel. A pause. Then confusion. Then concern. Then questions. Many questions. Within 3 minutes, Sarah understood enough. Within 5 minutes, she arranged transportation. Within 7 minutes, she instructed Maya to return the phone directly to Ellison and Vale Jewelers. Interesting. Very interesting. Everything should have ended there. It didn't, because somebody else was watching. A black sedan sat across the street from the coffee shop, engine running, windows tinted. The driver wore a baseball cap, pulled low over his eyes. He had been watching Maya since she left the interview, watching the coat, watching the phone, watching the wallet, waiting. Interesting, very interesting. The moment she stepped onto the sidewalk, he made a call. She's moving, a voice answered. Still has the phone, looks like it. A pause. Then, don't lose her. The line disconnected. Meanwhile, inside Ellison and Vale, preparations continued. The store occupied the ground floor of a restored historic building near Oak Street. Old money loved old buildings. The exterior suggested elegance. The interior demanded it. Crystal lighting, marble floors, private consultation suites. Security systems worth more than many homes. Claire loved places like this, places where status became architecture. Daniel noticed, interesting, very interesting. Not because she liked beautiful things. Everyone likes beautiful things. Because she seemed to need them. The distinction mattered. A hostess greeted them immediately. Then her eyes moved toward Daniel's jacket. The department store logo. The faded fabric, the mismatched appearance. Something changed. Tiny. Instant. Interesting. Very interesting. People reveal themselves quickly when expectations break. The hostess smiled. Still polite. Slightly colder. Can I help you? Daniel nodded. Appointment with Peter Ellison. The hostess checked her tablet, then frowned. Interesting. No confirmation appears. Daniel wasn't surprised. Sarah usually handled confirmations. Sarah usually called his phone. The same phone currently traveling across Chicago inside Maya's borrowed coat. Interesting. Claire closed her eyes briefly. Not again. Not here. Not today. The hostess continued. Name? Daniel Whitaker. A longer pause. Then another. Interesting. Very interesting. The name clearly meant nothing to her, which was unusual, but not impossible. The younger employees often recognized influencers before billionaires. The world had changed. The hostess typed again. Nothing. Daniel remained calm. Claire did not. The embarrassment had returned. Stronger this time, more visible, more dangerous. Then her own phone vibrated. Incoming message. She glanced down, read it, and froze. Interesting, very interesting, Daniel noticed immediately. What? Nothing. Lie. Small. Instant. Transparent. Daniel said nothing, but remembered. Interesting, very interesting. The hostess finally directed them toward a waiting area. Not a private suite, not premium service. Just chairs, near the entrance, visible, public. Claire hated it. Daniel noticed that too. Then her phone vibrated again. Another message. Again she looked. Again her expression changed. Interesting, very interesting. This time Daniel caught part of the screen, only 3 words. Call me back. No name, no context, nothing else. Yet Claire immediately locked the screen. Too quickly. Interesting, very interesting. Then she stood. I need a minute. Daniel nodded. She walked away toward the rear corridor, phone already at her ear. Interesting, very interesting. Daniel watched her disappear. Then looked toward the jewelry displays. Then toward the entrance. Then toward life. Strange how quickly certainty can evaporate. The engagement ring sat somewhere inside this building. 3 days earlier he had been almost certain, now not so much. Across town, Maya hurried toward a rideshare pickup point arranged by Sarah. Snows drifted lightly around her. The city felt colder, boozier, louder. Her grip tightened around the coat, the wallet, the phone, responsibility. Interesting, very interesting. Then everything happened at once. A man appeared beside her. Too close, too fast. Sorry, shoulder contact, brief. Accidental, maybe. Except his hand wasn't accidental, neither was the movement. The coat vanished, the phone vanished, the wallet vanished. Gone. Just like that. Interesting, very interesting. For one stunned second, Maya simply stared. Disbelief, then realization, then panic. The thief sprinted toward the street. Traffic, crowds, distance. Maya ran after him, adrenaline replacing thought. People shouted. Cars honked. Someone pointed. Nobody caught him. Interesting. Very interesting. Within seconds, he disappeared into Chicago, along with Daniel Whitaker's phone, wallet, cards, identity, everything. Maya stopped running, breathing hard, heart racing, terrified, not for herself. For Daniel. For the stranger who had trusted her. Interesting. Very interesting. Then she remembered something. The wallet, the phone, gone. But the coat remained. And inside one hidden interior pocket, she discovered something else. A small velvet ring box. Silence. Interesting. Very interesting. Back at Ellison and Vale, Claire returned from her phone call. Her expression looked controlled. Too controlled. Daniel noticed immediately. What happened? Nothing. Another lie. Interesting. Very interesting. Daniel studied her. The moment lingered, then faded. Because suddenly the store manager appeared. Marjorie Vale, co-owner, luxury retail legend, professional judge of appearances, and currently very unimpressed. She approached with a smile polished over decades. Good afternoon. Daniel stood. Claire smiled immediately. Interesting. Very interesting. Marjorie's addressed Claire first. Not Daniel. Interesting. Very interesting. Then her eyes settled on the security jacket and stayed there. 1 second, 2, 3, enough. The atmosphere shifted subtly, dangerously. Marjorie folded her hands. How may we assist today? Daniel answered. I have an appointment with Peter Ellison. Identification? Straight to it. Interesting. Very interesting. Daniel hesitated. Exactly 1 second. Too long. Marjorie noticed. Of course she did. Then came the sentence. The first real cut. Sir, this collection begins at $50,000. Silence. Interesting. Very interesting. Not rude, not openly, which somehow made it worse. Because everybody understood what she meant, Daniel included. Claire included, the nearby customers included, everyone. Then Claire did something unexpected, something small, something devastating. She laughed. Not loudly, not cruelly, nervously, embarrassed, trying to escape the moment. Yet the damage was done. Daniel heard it, and for the first time all afternoon, his heart sank. Because laughter reveals loyalty, or the lack of it. Interesting, very interesting. Then the store doors opened. A rush of cold winter air entered. Snow drifted briefly across polished marble floors, and Maya Reynolds appeared, breathing hard, holding the velvet ring box, looking terrified, and carrying news that was about to turn a simple misunderstanding into something much bigger. The moment Maya stepped through the door, the entire room turned toward her. Not because she looked important, because she looked terrified. Her hair was disheveled. Snow clung to her sleeves. Her breathing was uneven, and clutched tightly against her chest was the small velvet ring box. The same ring box Daniel thought had disappeared. Interesting, very interesting. For a second, nobody moved. Not Daniel, not Claire, not Marjorie, not the customers pretending not to stare. Then Maya spotted Daniel. Relief flooded her face instantly. The kind of relief people feel when they finally find the person they've been trying desperately not to disappoint. I'm so sorry. The words came out immediately, almost before she reached him. Daniel stepped forward. What happened? Maya swallowed hard, then looked around. Every eye in the showroom remained fixed on her. The attention made her nervous. But she forced herself to continue. They took it. Silence. Interesting, very interesting. Daniel frowned. Who? The phone. Another breath. The wallet. Another. The cards. Interesting. Very interesting. The room became still. Marjorie's expression changed, only slightly. But enough. The situation she assumed was simple, suddenly wasn't. Maya continued. I was bringing everything back. I answered a call from your assistant. I got into a rideshare. I stopped for less than 30 seconds. Then she looked down. Ashamed, I should have been more careful. Daniel watched her quietly. The guilt on her face was genuine, painfully genuine, interesting, very interesting. Then he asked, You weren't hurt? Maya blinked, surprised, almost confused. That's what you're asking? Daniel nodded. Interesting, very interesting. The room noticed. People always notice kindness when they expect anger. It feels unnatural, like seeing a canal bundle burn underwater. Maya slowly shook her head. No, then we're okay. The simple answer nearly made her cry again. Interesting, very interesting. Meanwhile, Claire remained silent, watching, calculating, thinking. Something about the scene bothered her. Daniel could feel it. Not because she disliked Maya, because Maya had become evidence. Evidence of something Claire wasn't ready to examine. Then another voice entered the moment. Cold, professional, suspicious. Marjorie. If the wallet was stolen, how exactly did you arrive here? Interesting, very interesting. The question sounded reasonable, which made it dangerous. Maya immediately looked uncomfortable. Marjorie waited. The silence stretched, then Maya answered. The hotel sent transportation. Marjorie folded her arms. Interesting, very interesting. Which hotel? The Langford. The reaction was immediate. Several employees exchanged glances. The Langford wasn't just another hotel. It was one of the most prestigious properties in Chicago. Interesting, very interesting. Marjorie noticed those reactions, then looked toward Daniel again. Longer this time. The pieces still hadn't connected, but they were beginning to move. And then Daniel's phone rang. Not the stolen phone. Claire's. Interesting. Very interesting. She glanced down. The screen lit up. The same number. Again, Daniel saw it clearly this time. No name, only digits. Yet something about her reaction changed immediately. She declined the call. Interesting, very interesting. Not ignored. Declined. The distinction mattered. Then another message arrived. The preview appeared briefly. Only 7 words. Did he suspect anything? Silence. Interesting. Very interesting. Daniel read it, only for a second, but long enough. The world seemed to slow, just slightly. Not enough for anyone else to notice, enough for him. Claire locked the screen immediately, too late, much too late. Daniel said nothing, yet, because experience had taught him something. The first explanation is rarely the correct one. Patience reveals more. Interesting, very interesting. Then the rear office door opened, and Peter Ellison finally appeared. Everything changed, instantly. The owner of Ellison and Vale was 70 years old, silver-haired, impeccably dressed, known throughout Chicago's luxury circles, and currently carrying a folder with Daniel Whitaker's name printed across the front. Peter saw Daniel, stopped, looked at the security jacket, looked at Maya, looked at Claire, looked at Marjorie, then understood far more than anyone expected. Interesting, very interesting. His expression hardened immediately, not toward Daniel, toward everyone else. He crossed the showroom quickly, extended his hand, both hands actually. A subtle difference, an important one. Daniel. Silence, absolute silence. Interesting, very interesting. The employees froze. The customers stared openly now. Marjorie went pale. Peter continued. I've been trying to reach you. Daniel smiled faintly. My phone disappeared, so I heard. Peter looked toward Marjorie, then toward the staff, then toward the security guard, then back toward Daniel. The silence became uncomfortable, painfully uncomfortable. Finally, Peter asked, Has someone explained why my guest is standing in the middle of a showroom being questioned like a shoplifting suspect? Nobody answered, because nobody could. Interesting. Very interesting. Marjorie tried, briefly. We were simply following procedure. Peter looked at her, then at the security jacket, then back again. The expression on his face said everything. Interesting. Very interesting. Then something unexpected happened. Daniel stepped in, not to defend himself, to defend them. Nobody meant harm. Silence. Peter stared. The employees stared. Claire stared. Interesting. Very interesting. Because kindness feels different after humiliation. More powerful. More revealing. Peter slowly nodded. The tension eased slightly. Not completely. Then Daniel spoke. I think we have bigger problems. And for the first time, he explained the theft, the missing phone, the wallet, the suspicious access, the strange banking alerts. Interesting. Very interesting. Peter listened carefully. Then looked serious. Very serious. Your assistant called me 30 minutes ago. Silence. What happened? Peter hesitated. Interesting. Very interesting. Then, someone attempted to access confidential files from your device. The showroom froze. Completely. Interesting. Very interesting. Now the story became something else. Not theft. Not coincidence. Not bad luck. Deliberate. Someone wanted information. The realization settled heavily. Then Maya spoke, quietly, almost apologetically. I remembered something. Every head turned. Interesting. Very interesting. She swallowed. The man who stole the phone. A pause. Wasn't watching me. Another pause. He was watching him. She pointed at Daniel. Silence. Absolute silence. Interesting. Very interesting. The atmosphere changed instantly, because now everyone understood. The target had never been Maya. The target had always been Daniel. Then Claire's phone vibrated again. This time loud enough for everyone nearby to hear. The screen lit up. Nobody intended to look, yet everyone did. Human nature. Very interesting, and there it was. A name. Visible for only a second. Andrew Cole. The message preview appeared underneath. We need to talk before he finds out. Silence. Absolute silence. Claire froze. Daniel froze. Peter frowned. Interesting. Very interesting. The room seemed to stop breathing. Then Claire immediately locked the screen. Too late. Far too late. Daniel looked at her calmly, not angry, just curious. Dangerously curious. Who is Andrew? The question sounded simple. It wasn't. Claire looked away. Interesting, very interesting. Then she answered. He works for Blackstone Capital. Interesting, very interesting. Not a lover, not an affair. Something else. Daniel remained silent. Waiting, Claire continued reluctantly. 6 months ago they approached me. Another pause. They wanted information. The room became still again. Very interesting. Daniel understood immediately. The missing pieces aligned, the strange behavior, the secrecy, the calls, the messages, the nervousness, everything. Not romance. Business. Betrayal. Interesting, very interesting. Claire's eyes filled suddenly. Not with manipulation. Not with performance. With regret. Real regret. I never gave them anything. A pause, I swear, another. I thought I could handle it. Interesting. Very interesting. Daniel believed part of that. Maybe most of it. But not all. Because there was one question left. The most important one. The question that had quietly grown throughout the entire day. The question hidden beneath every other question. He looked directly at her, then asked, if I wasn't Daniel Whitaker, a pause, would you still be here? Silence. Absolute silence. No traffic. No conversation. No movement. Nothing. Interesting. Very interesting. Because everybody in the room knew the answer mattered. Not the answer itself. The hesitation before it. Claire opened her mouth, closed it, opened it again. And in that moment, Daniel received his answer. Interesting, very interesting. Not from what she said, from what she couldn't. The silence lasted only 3 seconds, maybe 4, yet it felt longer. Long enough. Then Maya's voice broke it. Soft, accidental, honest. The way truth usually arrives. You looked at him differently when nobody knew he was. Silence, interesting. Very interesting. Nobody meant for the sentence to land so hard, yet it did. Claire stared. Daniel stared. The room stared. And suddenly the entire afternoon became clear. Not because anyone was evil. Not because anyone was perfect. Because pressure reveals character. And today had applied pressure to everyone. Maya, Marcus, Peter, Marjorie, Claire, Daniel. Everyone. Interesting. Very interesting. Daniel reached into his pocket. Removed the ring box. The room collectively stopped breathing. Interesting. Very interesting. Claire's eyes widened. Hope appeared. Then fear. Then hope again. Daniel opened the box. The sapphire sparkled beneath showroom lights. Beautiful. Rare. Extraordinary. Everything Claire once dreamed about. Everything Daniel once intended. He looked at the ring, then at her, then quietly closed the lid. Click. The sound echoed like a final page turning. The problem isn't that you wanted the life. Silence. The problem is that I don't know whether you wanted me. Nobody spoke. Nobody could. Interesting. Very interesting. Daniel handed the ring box back to Peter, then turned toward Maya. Did you get the second interview? Maya blinked. The question caught her completely off guard. Yes. Good. Then toward the entrance. Marcus stood there, still holding the same security jacket, still watching quietly. Daniel smiled. Would you like a better job? Marcus laughed, surprised. What kind? The kind where noticing people matters. For the first time all afternoon, genuine laughter filled the room. Warm, human, earned. Interesting, very interesting. Outside, snow continued falling across Chicago. Inside, one relationship ended. Several lives changed. And Daniel finally understood something his father once told him decades earlier. People don't reveal themselves when life is easy. They reveal themselves when things stop looking valuable, because that's when you discover who was seeing the money and who was seeing the person.